Good afternoon or good morning if you happen to be on the West Coast, and welcome to today's webinar entitled SAP S/4HANA for Engineering, Construction, and Operations Companies. My name is Rihanna Thompson, and I'll be your moderator for today. And we have just a few announcements before we begin today's presentation. This webinar is designed to be interactive between you and our presenter. So if you have any questions during today's presentation, feel free to type them out in the chat. Moderating the chat today are two solution architects from Illumity, John Hilborn and Corey Brown. So if you have any questions about anything you see in today's presentation, feel free to submit your questions into the Q&A, and either one of the two will be happy to help you. Since our time today is limited, any questions not answered by one of our solution architects will be answered at the end of today's presentation during our Q&A session. And hopefully we'll have time to get to everyone. With that being said, I'd like to hand it over to Jamie Fryer, our Vice President of Sales at Illumity.
Thanks, Rihanna. Welcome to our ECNO webinar. My name is Jamie Fryer, and I'm a partner at Illumity. And I really want to thank you very much for your time today. A little bit about Illumity. We're an engineering and construction industry-focused system integrator. We implement SAP solutions faster, at a lower cost, and with lower risk than other integrators. And we're able to do that because of our industry templates and our intellectual property, which you're going to hear more about today. In this webinar, we're very specifically going to show you our job site mobility app, our construction payroll solution, and we'll explain SAP's strategy to the cloud. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our presenters, and they are Sam Kayali, who is an Associate Director at Illumity focused on our construction industry solutions. Sam has over 25 years experience with SAP and over 10 years of experience in the construction industry. Jim Fang is a solution architect with 20 years of SAP payroll experience and 10 plus years in the industry. And last but not least is Johnny Clemens, who is the SAP Global Vice President and Industry Business Unit Head for SAP. Johnny spent his entire career in the construction industry and is responsible for shaping SAP's ECNO strategy. So I will now turn it over to Sam, and again, thank you very much for joining today.
Hi guys. Yes, I'm going to start out with kind of mentioning a little bit about our pain points for the industry. I'm going to turn off my camera here. And specifically, most project managers tell us that the foreman has a lot of paperwork. He's inundated with paperwork, and there's a lot of back and forth between the foreman and payroll, and all the timesheets that go back to the back office. It takes quite a while for all the data that is captured on the job site to get recorded. So our solution to mobilize and add mobility to the project site to bridge the gap between the job site and the back office operations, and to allow the cost to push where the event is happening. So all project managers can basically review the information. Anyone on the back end can see the information on a daily basis, can see the cost, can see all the events that happen on the job site. So we have developed several applications, and I'm going to be wearing multiple hats today. One is for the project foreman, and next is for the project manager. What the project foreman is going to do on the job site and what the project manager sees as a result of all the foreman activities. So we term them field data capture. That's basically what they are. They just are at the field level on the job site. So can you go to the next slide, Rihanna? So what I'm going to start out with showing you our mobility apps, and then I'm going to focus a little more on the time capture, because what Jim is going to do is going to take over after I enter the time. He's going to address specifically the payroll and the pain points related to construction payroll, and how the system is fully integrated to take all the data and process the payroll on the back end. Next, please. So I'm just gonna switch over. If you can give me access. Okay, thank you. And I'm going to share, since it's a mobility app, I'm going to share my screen. For the iPad here. Tell me if you can see the iPad on the screen now.
You're all good, Sam.
Excellent, thank you. So I'm going to start out with, this is how the project foreman logs on in the morning. And what he sees is, he sees all these apps on his mobile device. And I'm using an iPad here. And starts out with my defaults. My defaults is basically nothing but what he's going to be working on a daily basis. So it just sets up the defaults for the rest of the apps to work properly. So what he does is he creates, if the first time he creates a project, you know, he just adds the project to his mobile device. And if you can see here, I've added project 20-DP020. And if I click on it, it shows me all the crew members that I added to the project. These are the crew members that will be working for me on the job site. And if I get assigned to another project, it's as simple as I can copy the whole crew and go to another project. And this is particularly important for like crews, like water main crews or asphalt crews that go from one project to the next. So I can copy the whole crew to my next project, and I can also add that project with all the crew members. Same thing applies to the equipment. As you can see, I can see all the pieces of equipment. I can also copy the pieces of equipment to the next project. My default time is just basically the date format and how I would like to process my daily work. Default date is current -1. That means I will be entering the data for what happened yesterday. So normally some foremen like to do it at the end of the day, so it'll be current, or current -1 means that I am entering data for what happened yesterday. So I'm going to go back. So once we set up my defaults app, it's going to allow all the other apps to work. And I'm going to start out with employee time. And related to my project, these are the crew members that I added on my defaults. So one thing I would like to mention here is on the bottom here, underneath the name, this is the union number. Okay, so at least the foreman knows exactly what union each employee is working for, and the activity or the job classification that the foreman is on. For example, Adam is a welder, Bruce is a dozer operator, Patrick, he's a foreman, and then Simon is a crane operator. And this is important for payroll because we are fully integrated with payroll, and that's what Jim is going to mention, is going to talk about when he talks about these classifications on here. So in order to enter time, I'm going to just assign and use a bulk edit. A bulk edit is nice in the sense that it shows if all the crew members are working on the same WBS element or work breakdown structure. I'm just going to assign them to trench, and I'm going to start them all at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they all ended at 1,500 hours. As you can see, it applied as a bulk edit to all of them. They're starting all at the same time. What I would like to mention here, there's also an accumulator for what happens throughout the week. So I entered some time yesterday for Adam just as a setup crew for welding, and then it accumulates it per week. So that way the foreman has full visibility when overtime is going to occur. So if it goes above 40 hours, maybe he can manage the hours for his employees, so to minimize the overtime. At the same time, we have these indicators for using company vehicle, own vehicle, lodging out, basically per diem or meal allowance. So I'm going to give Adam, or let's just give the foreman a meal allowance. And I'm going to use a speech to text technology to record why I'm giving him a meal allowance. Please give him meal allowance because he took the inspector to lunch. As you can see, it highlights that there are notes. These notes are going to get copied to payroll, and at the same time, the project manager is going to be able to see these notes. I can add any ad hoc employees from my own company or from my sister company. So in construction, there's a lot of exchanges of employees between different companies. So it allows you to do intercompany or use employees from other companies as well. So it's just a matter of adding any employee on the screen, selecting them, and you can add them on an ad hoc basis that are not already on my defaults. At the same time, we have the ability to copy everything from the prior day. This is probably the quickest way to get everything entered without spending too much time on every WBS element, just like I did with the bulk edit. As well as I can add lines so Adam worked from 1,500 hours to 1,600 hours, for example, on a different WBS element. So that way I can have exact costing to whichever WBS element that employee worked on. And I saved the data, and that's it. That's how quickly it is to enter time for the employees. Equipment time follows the same methodology. You get a listing of all the equipment. I'm not going to enter these two pieces of equipment. I'm going to assign the WBS element. They all worked on the same WBS element, and it's just a matter of entering the hours that each worked on, and I'm going to assign 8 hours. One thing I would like to highlight here is also the integration with third-party equipment. This is a third-party piece of equipment that is rented from Dave Wright, and I have put all this information in the defaults because this is what the dozer that showed up on that job site, and it's been around for several days. And it's a matter of, at the end of the day, we give them a ticket so we can process the accounts payable process. So the ticket that I gave them yesterday was 776, and it's a matter of saving the data. Once I save the data, it's all in the system, and now all the costing for those pieces of equipment happens automatically. With the third-party vendors, we also are fully integrated with the accounts payable process, so the system automatically does the kind of the service receipts for all the rentals, and we can automatically pay the vendors for those pieces of equipment based on the time entered by the foreman. So we dealt with the LEM, labor, equipment. Now we're going to deal with materials. Materials is specifically to receiving materials on the job site. as you can see, it lists all the purchase orders that are open for that particular project. So here, if you can see here, we also, if you have any long-term contracts, normally that are tendered contracts for quantity contracts, for example, to lock the price. So we, the system shows the open contract quantity and the PO already, all the quantities received on the PO. So if I want to receive this item, and it shows you the open quantity, so you can, if you're receiving the whole quantity, it's just a matter of hitting enter. I'm just going to adjust it and say I'm receiving 2 out of the 4. That's what showed up on our on the job site. And it's just a matter of hitting the save button, and we're done. That's how simple it is to enter the goods receipt. My daily diary is a is an app that basically a daily journal of what happened on the job site. This information is available for statistical purposes and to make it available for anyone on the back end. Any directors or VPs want to find out anything that happened on the job site, it is a matter of reviewing it on the back end. So here I'm going to use speech to text as well. The weather was good. We were productive. Full stop. Joe Smith did not show up to work because he was sick. And I can also add attachments. For example, if something happens, someone hits something or a safety issue, I can take a picture, or from the photo library, I can add a picture. I'm going to use the photo and then upload it. And that's it. Once I save, we have also integrated IoT. If you notice, Internet of Things, we're grabbing the weather information from a subscribed weather site that brings all the information that you need on the weather. As you know, construction and weather go hand in hand, and all that is captured automatically for every job site. So anyone can relate any productivity issues to the weather. Production is where the foreman reports his production, daily production. So since I have entered, this is all the items that we're measuring production on. I'm just gonna click this button here, and it shows me only the items that I worked on that particular day. And I am going to, this is the project that I'm working on, and these are the 2 items that so this is 2 meters cubed. So I'm just gonna, I did 4 today, and I did 100 on this, and that's updates all our production quantities and updates our productivity measures. The productivity report works off of what I just entered, and it gives me a rundown of how I am proceeding along that project, and gives me a percentage completion as I move along that productivity measure. So it gives you a nice report, and this report is available for both for project foremen and project managers. A daily summary report, I'm just going to skip it because it is available for both the project manager and the foreman. So I'll just show it to you on the project manager's app. Issues, as we know in construction, issues happen on a daily basis. So this here is recording an issue that happened on a job site. and I'm going to use, we hit the water main, the locate, it was incorrect. So here, when we say save and create WBS, what's nice about this, it creates the WBS. Okay, this is asking me to take an attachment, so I can take a photo of what happened on the job site. And once I save and create a WBS, it automatically goes to the back end and creates a WBS adds a WBS on the project structure. And what's important there is that way we can start capturing data on that cost associated with this issue, so we can recover any revenue that we want to collect from the owner. Would you like to create another issue? No, I am done. So the billing quantity input app, I will mention and I'll talk about later in our presentation. I'm going to jump to project manager apps, and I'm wearing the hat of a project manager right now. I mentioned about the daily summary report. So the project manager goes in and then basically finds this particular project, and he can see an overview of what happened on that project. As you can see, all the data that I entered on the daily journal or my diary showed up here, and all the data associated with the time entered for the equipment and for the employees, and it gives me a daily total and a weekly running total. And if I have multiple foreman, I can see it per foreman. So I can just click on the name of the foreman and it gives me a summary of the what each foreman's data entry for the day. Now, after I looked at all the daily summary, it's a matter of just approving the time. I'm just going to go on to that particular project and just approve the time. It gives me a count of all the time entries that I have to approve for that particular project, and I can approve individually, or I can, of course, I can review the notes that I entered earlier, or I can approve all. Now I'm going to approve it all. Same idea for equipment time. It all shows up, and it's a matter of approving all or rejecting anything. If I reject something, I can actually type the reason for rejection, and then an email goes to the foreman informing them why I rejected it, so he can correct his entries. That's all for our field data capture. I think I want to transition to Jim, who's going to take the time entries that we did, and he can expand on what happens on the back end for payroll.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Fan. I'm the payroll guy, so I'm going to cover the payroll part of this webinar. As we all know, or most people online probably know, that in the EC&O industry, there's certain unique challenges that facing payroll. So one particular big item is a time entry that Sam have just covered. Basically, the time entry for this industry is challenging because you know, the location is dynamic. The kind of job is dynamic, and also sometimes it's cross multiple locations. So Sam have addressed that challenge with the field data capture, which, you know, can easily at the job site capture all the data that needed for payroll. Also unique to this industry, there is certain regulations like in the U.S. the Davis-Bacon Act that have to ensure the employees or the workers are paid properly with rates and benefits. And also most of the construction or EC&O industry have the union workforce, and the union payroll typically is pretty comprehensive, complex because of the multiple rates for the different classifications, the different union agreements, premiums, and also the calculation of the union benefits based on the union agreements. Also, to report those union benefits to the union vendors is sometimes can be pretty challenging as well. Most of the places we go with the clients, people are interested in the daily job costing. So we have solutions to address most of these issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my system and to show you some of the examples that address those issues. So one employee we're going to show is a union employee, and the other one is a non-union employee. So for the union employee, it works partially of the week as a journeyman and then partially as a foreman. And as you can see, the pay rate is going to be different. For the non-union employee, it works two projects. One is a Davis-Bacon project. The other is non-Davis-Bacon project. You can see the rates is going to be different, and also there's a certain benefit makeup is going to be calculated from the solution. Next. Okay, I'm going to show you in the system. Can you make me present, Rana? Okay, so you guys can see my screen?
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay, so what we're looking at, this one is the union employee as a Bruce. This is his week's timesheet. So he works two different projects, which is represented by the different WBS elements. And so for 3 days, he works in one project, but he works as a normal journeyman classification. And for the last 2 days of the week, he works as a foreman. So this is the timesheet. And so if we go and look at the payroll calculation for that week, so if we go to run payroll, so this is the employee and that's the pay period we were looking at. And so if we run a payroll simulation in SAP, you can see there's two lines of the earnings. So one is the 16 hours with the rate of 39.68 as the rate, and the other 24 hours is a different rate. That is because of the different classification that the union employee worked on. And also at the bottom, you can see all the different benefits are calculated. So that is the calculation results based on our solution. So let's look at the pay rates that drives this calculation. So we have a union workbench that can help us to look at the different tables. Okay. So as you can see, as a journeyman, the rate is 33.07. And as a foreman, that's the rate. So this is the union pay rate table that based on our solution. As you can see from our solution, there is a union code as a key, and then we added the project ID as a key field. That means sometimes for the same union, the different projects, they will negotiate different rates. So we can set it up and pay it accordingly based on the project ID. And then, of course, we have the craft classification. And then we always have the effective dates that can be date sensitive. So typically, once a year or sometimes multiple years, the rates is going to change. And as you can see, we have tools to mass upload, and it automatically delimited the old rate and loads the new rates. So that is the union calculation, and that's how that is calculated by the different rates. Now let's look at the benefits. How does the union benefits get calculated? So again, we have this in the tool. You can see for this union, we have all those different benefits to be defined. And so we have the rates, we have the calculation method. H means that's an hourly rate, and sum as a percentage of the amount. So for example, this is a percentage of amounts. As you can see, we also have a base wage tab. For example, for the pension, the base for regular time, overtime, and double time are actually different base. So we have a different base buckets for the calculation for the different union fringe benefit. And also on the key field, we still have the classification and sometimes the project ID. So sometimes certain benefits are only eligible for certain classification. A lot of unions do not give certain benefits, for example, the pensions to the very junior apprentice. So that will not in the table, and so the overrides is going to be 0. So that's a definition. You can define it that way, and you calculate it based on the union and the classification. So that's how that is calculated. That's the table behind it to calculate that union benefits. Also, one of the challenges is reporting of the union benefits. So we have, in our solution, we have a custom solution that can be easily used for the union benefit reporting. So this is typically run monthly, but for the sake of demo, we just do the 1 week of payroll. So for this report, we have a summary. So if we have 20 employees for this union, then the number of employees with 20, all those things are summarized for the first page. It tells you which company, which union we're dealing with, and also it lists all the different rates and the hours at the grand total level for the whole union. And then underneath, we'll have all the detailed breakdown of how many hours, what's the classification, and all the different range as we define in the table, and then the rates, and then that's the amounts at the very detailed level. For example, this one is the same employee, but because it has a different classification hours, the report actually split out so that it has the needed detail for any validation. So this is the PDF format. Sometimes they can submit it directly to the union, and sometimes they may not they want a different set of data. For example, they only want the hours. So we have the hours. So that's for the week. And also if they only want the employee benefits. So those will be in a different format with all the union vendor information and all the different calculation behind it. So that's the union employee. The next, we're going to look at the non-union employee. So this, Bernard is a non-union employee, and so he's classification. He's classified as a journeyman, and so he worked again 3 days on one project, and then another 16 hours on another project. So one of the projects is a Davis-Bacon, so the rates will be different. So let's look at the payroll run. So we can see from here, there's 2 different rates. One is $35, the other one is $23.60. And also this, the projects, the 2 different projects actually are in 2 different states. So the withholding tax are actually calculated because the different locations of work. And then at the end, you can see there is a Davis-Bacon contribution. So that means the benefit being paid to the employee, the employer portion of it is not, it's less than what the Davis-Bacon or prevailing wage requires. So that it made it up. Say, okay, that's, you're short of the benefit. So that is calculated based on the difference. So that is the non-union employee with the 2 different projects. So let's see how that rate is come about. So the $35. So we have a Davis-Bacon rate table. So we have a Davis-Bacon rate table. And we know this is a journeyman, and that is the project ID, and that $35 is the rate that based on the Davis-Bacon rate need to be paid $35, and that $38 is a plus benefit rate, meaning you have $35, and then you basically have $13 of per hour of benefits need to be paid. And then if what you have been paid in the benefit wage tabs, if it's not enough, it's going to add additional money to the employee so that it can meet the Davis-Bacon requirement. So that is for the employee's Davis-Bacon calculation for the non-employee. Another big requirement is the certified payroll. So we have built the certified payroll as a standard, as a part of our solution. So let's get the variant. So this is a standard Davis-Bacon form that has the cover page and also with the details. For example, because because there's only 2 days that is worked on this Davis-Bacon project. The other 3 days are actually non-Davis-Bacon. That's why it's not showing on the earnings side on this report. So when we run it, we're actually running by project. So let me go back. So that is the project we're running for. So let's go back here. So that's why we only have 2 days of hours, and then on this format, it has this project, how much, and then all projects. So this is and then on the right hand side, we have put the most comprehensive other information for most of the states. So we'll be using this one for a few clients that the standard federal form for the certified payroll is missing this part. So what we have done is we add all those information, and it's good for most of the state, including California. So that is the certified payroll report as part of the solution offering. So the last piece I want to show is the daily actual cost, the daily labor cost. Let me go back.
Hi, Jim. We're running low on time, so we're going to have to speed through.
Okay, yeah. So can you show the screen? I'm not going to go to the system. Can you show the PPT with the actual cost screenshot? This was short of time. Okay, so I'm not going to go to the system. I'm just going to explain what that is. So basically what that is when first the time is entered into the system, it goes into CATS, and then the CATS will do the CO posting. So you will see the first section that the hours of the week are 5 days, 40 hours being posted to this WBS element. And then we're using the standard activity rate. So that's the standard costing. So if you go day by day, so every day you will have a standard cost. And then when payroll runs at the end of the week, payroll is going to calculate the actual cost. So the actual cost will be the direct cost, like the wages and all the allowances, and also the burdens. So you will have employer tax, some benefits, and other things that is going to be costed into the project. So you can see the second section is the actual cost. So if we post it that way, we're going to double, right? So at the end, our solution actually is going to reverse out what has been posted earlier so that the actual payroll costing will be eventually hitting the WBS element or the projects. So that's what that solution is. So it's a daily, you can see the standard cost, and then when payroll comes, when it becomes available at the end of the pay period or end of the week, you can see the actual cost of the payroll, of the labor. I think that's all I have to show, and I'll wait until people have questions at the end of the session. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Sam again, and thanks, Jim, for that explanation. I want to talk a little bit about construction billing, and construction billing tends to be kind of a challenging effort between contracted admins in the back office and foremen. There's a lot of interaction between the two. And first, the biggest struggle, or the first struggle, happens when you set up the contract. And second, when you are executing on the contract, and as you are building quantities, the foreman has to keep all the information flowing back to the contract admins on what's happening on the job site, what quantities have been delivered, and especially if there are subcontractors in the mix, then it becomes even more complicated. So there's a lot of information flowing back and forth between the job site and contract admins. So what we have done is we have built a solution that's an end-to-end solution to handle this situation. We actually have built it on top of a standard solution called Bill of Services that comes out of for the EC&O industries from SAP. And then what we did is we also added an app that, and I showed you the icon, and I will go into that app as well to show you what the field informs and puts all the information needed from the job site for the contract admins to do the correct billing at the end of the period, the end of the month, from a billing cycle standpoint. And at the end, we need to generate the correct output that is certified either in Canada by CCA or in the US like a G702 by the AIA. So can you go one screen forward? So what I'm going to do is quickly show you what the contract setup looks like and how simple it is to even cut and paste from a spreadsheet. Then I'm going to show you the FDC app that we built, that we term it billing quantity input, where the foreman inputs the quantity and what he has achieved for to bill the customer and the owner. And at the end, I'm going to show you what the billing cockpit looks like and how the contract administrator bills out on the pay items for that particular project. And I am going to share my screen. Can you see my screen? Confirmation. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you the contract that I built for that, where we entered all the time entry here. And basically, if I click on change here, just gonna show you what the bill of services look like. And the way, if you can see, it's kind of a tabular format. It shows what these are the header section or subheader sections, and these are the different sections within the pay items, and that's how the bill is gonna be what it looked like for the customer. And this is normally because every customer has their own methodology or how they want to get billed, or even the naming convention. As you see here, it says A2I. It could be following a specific naming convention for a contract. So therefore, you can just a matter of cutting and pasting from Excel, or we have used Windshuttle in the past to upload all this information. You can see the total quantity and the price for every single item. And some of them are lump sum items, some of them are meters, some of them are eaches. So depending on what the service level and the unit of measure that is required. Okay, so having said that, that's basically the contract. And also we have incorporated retention here. So if I go to the conditions, you can see that there's 10% retention here for that particular customer. So I'm going to go out, and then I'm going to go to the field capture apps and that I showed you earlier. And rather than switching back and forth, I'm just going to show it to you here. So this is the So this is the billing quantity input. This is what the foreman uses, okay, to enter his quantities that at the end of the month that he's achieved, okay? So this is the contract, and this is these are the different items that are exactly what the pay items look like on the contract show up on this app, right? So for example, let's say we are going to deliver another 1,000 meter cube here. And if you notice here, there are also indicators, communication between the field and this is the subcontractor services. Tormont Industries is going to deliver this item. I'm going to show you the integration with the subcontractor service entry sheets. So I'm just going to accept another 50 meters here, and let's do another 100 here, okay? And I can save, right? As I save, I can continually save throughout the month. For example, if our billing period, because this is a municipal contract, is on a monthly basis, I can save the quantities here, and then I can come and update them again, 110, and keep saving as I go along. Whether I enter the data on a daily basis, weekly basis, I can continue adding the quantities to this. Once I am done and the site engineer comes and he wants to see the completed work, the foreman goes in and says, "Are you ready to approve, Mr. Inspector?" And you say yes. And this is where we have the inspector sign that this is the approved work and you can bill me for this work, right? And he's the owner's representative on the job site. So I'm gonna, and I can email to him the approved quantities. So the email gets sent to him, and that's it. This is approved. Now, what I want to do is go back to the back office and show you what is seen on the billing cockpit. Okay, so this is the customer number. This is the project. Let me pick it from here. This is the municipal project. If you notice, the draw number or progress bill number comes in automatically based on the previous billings that I have done. So I'm just going to say from the first, oops, I'm sorry, I am billing today, and it's for the whole period of the first to the end of the month. And I can put any notes here. I'm just going to put progress bill for the time being, and then say execute. This takes you to the billing cockpit. And if you notice that it shows me that the field quantity has been approved. Since today is the 29th, I want to bill, let's say this is 22. I still have one more day of work to be done. I can make an adjustment here, either on a percentage completion or on the total quantity. So even the contract admin is allowed to change the quantities here and can document, just like I showed you the documentation earlier. So I can change the quantity here to 25%, and the system automatically figures the correct quantity, and I can put in the notes changed quantity to, or change percentage to 25, and save. This is what's nice about here, because it's a continuous communication and we have history of everything that happened between the field and the contract administrator. As well, I showed you that there's a linkage to the subcontractor PO. This is a subcontractor PO for 50 quantity. If you notice that it automatically comes into here, based on what I accepted the quantity on the job site, then I'm going to have to pay the vendor or the subcontractor for this field quantity. So from here, it's just a matter of basically saving, and I'm going to save the changes, and I can generate a pro forma invoice directly from the cockpit. Okay, this is my pro forma, and it shows me all the details that I need: previous quantity billed, the quantity on this bill, percentage completion, and this is, and it's subsections, all the items that are expected for the owner and how they want us to bill. Okay, and I can email it from here, right? Email it, and then they get the notification. This is the pro forma. They accept the pro forma, and from here I can directly bill the items. Once I bill the items,
Sam, once you're done this section and you wrap up, we'll transition over into Johnny.
oh, okay. So once I bill the items, basically it also generates the service entry sheet for the subcontractor. Okay, and the billing shows up exactly like the pro forma invoice that has been agreed between you and the customer. So that's all I have for the billing cockpit, and I'm going to turn it over to Johnny.
Awesome. As we transition over to Johnny to cover this section of the presentation, I want to let the audience know that we will run over a bit of time. If you can't stay on with us, that's totally okay. A recording of today's presentation will be available for all of you tomorrow, sent directly to your email. But if you can't stick along, please do.
Yeah, and I made some changes on the fly here to get people out of here as quickly as possible. Just want to share a couple of quick slides to wrap things up. So SAP and our partners offer a complete set of solutions to cover the end-to-end industry value chain for construction, and we do that in a modular and intelligent way so that you can sort of plug and play certain parts of this to fit your specific needs. And so often people ask, well, how do you do that when other people have real difficulty doing that sort of thing? And so, well, we do that. So we take that, we have the industry priorities that we address, and then that industry value chain that I was just talking about. And we do that by having our business technology platform that sits at the base of everything that we do. And on top of that business technology platform, we've built our latest set of intelligent suite products that provide all the underlying functionality for the things that Sam and Jim were just showing you. But then we also allow these industry cloud extensions so that you can have the very specific deep industry functionality that you were just looking at. So, and the other thing that this all allows is, because we have this business technology platform underneath, we can run all of this on any of the cloud hyperscalers. So from an SAP perspective, we're offering all of our solutions, all of our latest generation solutions in the cloud today. And for customers who are looking to make that transition into the cloud, we offer a bundled set of solutions and services to help customers make that transition from maybe their legacy on-premise environments into the cloud environment that they want to run in the future. So with our sort of our unique set of technologies that we have here, our ability to service the entire end-to-end industry value chain, and our ability to have our partners and our own teams and our customers extend functionality through our industry cloud solutions, we can plug and play to meet the needs of if any of the customers that are out there for their specific needs in the way that their industry value chain is organized, which may be slightly different from company to company, and we can provide that capability. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up there. Just really wanted to get that message across, that we have those capabilities. If there are people with specific questions that that they want answered, you can ask them in the chat, and I think that we could probably send out some answers later if that makes any sense for anyone. So thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. With that being said, we are at the top of the hour, 1 minute after, and I will close out today's sessions. I want to give a big thanks to our wonderful presenters for today. Thank you guys for covering so much content in today's presentation. I hope our audience enjoyed the content that was up today and found it very useful. Unfortunately, we weren't able to allocate time today to a Q&A session, but feel free to send any questions you may have for today's session to the communications contact listed on this webinar. And as I mentioned before, we will be providing a copy of today's presentation along with handouts that are available in the taskbar for you guys to download. With that being said, thank you again for everyone for attending today's session, and I hopefully will see and hear you guys at the next one. Thank you, everyone.